Hello, everybody. Sorry for being late. I'm really glad today to have you here, and thank goodness I'm here because I was doing some exercise before, and now I'm focused on what I'm going to say. So, okay, today, as I said in the description, I'm going to talk about my spiritual journey. That actually, a spiritual journey is about the reinforcement and the gaining of power in wisdom and in our energy, life energy. So, in the Bible, I've started reading the Bible since I was very little, because my mother always very held inside the passion for the scriptures and for and their interest in reading, especially the Bible, which is a compilation of different books. And I want to start from the Bible because usually a spiritual journey consists of the reinforcement of our faith in an energy that surrounds everything, and the power of the world. So this energy is really something that is so beautiful, that is so profound, that sometimes we don't understand the true meaning of what's behind our the experiences we live every day, the emotions that we care about and we hold, and our memories. And most of the time, we can find a lot of answers in just reading the Bible. So my spiritual journey, it started after I've ended the school, because when I ended the school, I managed to concentrate myself more on the things I held dearest, like how can I say, the religion and philosophy and all those subjects that are really important. Then I started also cultivating a passion and an hobby, which is with photography. So I started in 2018 at the end of my high school, and I wanted to focus on philosophy because it was a subject that I really appreciated when I was at school. And I found that the philosophy that they taught me at school wasn't enough. Like it didn't satisfy my personal needs. So I wanted to understand more about the big questions, like why I'm here, what is the meaning of life, what surrounds me, is it real or not? What can we define as real? So when I started this spiritual journey, I started it because I felt confused and I felt like I didn't find a way, and I wanted to understand better the world that surrounded me, a world that I didn't know of, and I still don't know, but I'm more certain about certain questions, and I'm happy about that. So this is what made me start this spiritual journey that I always wanted to do, and I always, and I think we are we are in the course of our lives. We always challenge ourselves with big questions and with certain doubt. We are filled with doubt. So sometimes we are looking and we are at the research of a meaning. And so I decided to start reading the Bible, and I decided to start going into this spiritual journey. So one of the philosophers and one of the writers that actually are really important for me is Voltaire. And Voltaire was a luminary or an intellectual that lived in the 18th century during the French Revolution. He had a correspondence with Robespierre, but actually it ended in an unfortunate way because they both loved their writings, but they didn't appreciate themselves at the full. They were always in contrast in discussions. And one of the beautiful phrases that Voltaire in its book, the Candide, Le Candide, which is Il Candido in Italiano, and I don't know if it is Le Candide. Donc, it's the search for of a man that is called Candide, and he's looking for answers and a philosophy about the world that surrounds him. So it's also a spiritual journey, and I've started reading this book, but I haven't finished it yet. And one of the most important phrases in this book is cultivate your own garden. So this phrase holds it's very important for me, and that's also why I have it in my status. And it means cultivate your own passions and your own vision of life, and cultivate your interests, cultivate who you are, and grow every day, become better every day. Because when you stop cultivating your garden, as a garden, usually when you stop cultivating it, it starts dying. So this is a wonderful phrase that is really important. And now with I've actually read a book that is actually really interesting, which is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu is a Chinese general that actually lived during the period of the autumn and the spring. And it's a collection of essays on the behavior and on how to behave in war conditions. And there is a beautiful essay written by Fabio Mini. So it's a Fabio Mini, and Fabio Mini is also him is a general, but is a contemporary. So he lives nowadays, and he has done this presentation for the festival on the Oriental cultures, and he made this essay pointing out the differences between the philosophy, the Oriental philosophy behind war, and the Occidental philosophy behind, and the Western philosophy behind war. So they are both really important. They're both really important, and they have their own definitions of what war is. But one of the most important things is that war should never be considered as a first option, but always considered as the last resource to go to and to use. Because before war, there is diplomacy. Before diplomacy, there is trade. And before trade, there is a meeting between two different cultures. And that is really an interesting point of view that Sun Tzu develops in The Art of War. And I'm now finishing to read the History of Western Philosophies, which is a beautiful book written by Bertrand Russell. And I've read a critic on this book that actually says you should read this book pointing out what the writer wanted to say. So he actually does a synthesis, but you cannot go through philosophy without giving your own opinion. And so you should point out the opinion of the writer, understand the opinion of the writer, and then immerse yourself in the synthesis that he actually has done during his prison in Germany. And it was written during the Second World War. And the benefits of going into a spiritual journey and appreciating the cultures and appreciating and starting to appreciate and discover the different cultures and the different religions around us. It actually helps to develop your own character, and it actually helps you to form a free thought, from the ideas of that were transmitted to us from our past generations and from the politicians that we see every day and the journalists. And that is a wonderful thing. So all the best, guys, and see you for the next video.